Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Thursday, January 25th. Hope you're doing well. Want to welcome on into the program Senator Bill Hagerty. Always appreciative of your time, sir. Let's get right to it. This is one of my favorite stories of the day. Now, everyone knows how you have been someone who really, really wants to protect America's sovereignty against this just absolute invasion on the southern border. You know what's going on with Texas. The battle between Texas and the Biden administration over the border does continue. Now, it looks like this morning, this came out, I think, yesterday afternoon, Senator, that Texas is weighing its options and looks like they're defying the Biden administration and is continuing to put up that razor wire on the border at their border. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is invoking his constitutional right to defend his state against foreign invasion. Other states now are lining up behind Greg Abbott, including Florida, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Montana, Georgia. They have joined in supporting Texas. I'm wondering where Tennessee will fall into all of this. I'd like to see the governor join in his support of this specific issue as well. But as far as from your vantage point in the Senate, I mean, this looks like it's going to get worse and worse.
It's continuing to get worse and worse. And, we've talked about this so many times, Dan. What's happening at our southern border is an absolute travesty. The Biden administration has invited all of this. I'm pleased to see Greg Abbott step up and do what he is doing. Greg was my classmate at law school at Vanderbilt. He's got great ties to Tennessee. We should be supporting him in every way we can. Very smart guy, very deliberate in his actions. And I'm supportive of everything he's trying to do at the border. What we've got, though, is an invasion, just as you described it. And you ask yourself, why? Why is it happening? And I can explain why. And frankly, now we've got the Democrats on record saying the quiet part out loud. They are doing this not because they want some humanitarian result, because it's a humanitarian disaster at the border. It's certainly not because they're trying to protect our cities and towns, because we've got crime and fentanyl coming into our cities and states all across the nation. What this is about is a backfill into the blue states that are losing populations to red states like ours in Tennessee. You think about the number of people that have moved from California, the people that have moved from New York, the people that have moved from Illinois. They're fleeing those states because the policies are so bad. Tax rates are through the roof. Crime is through the roof. No one wants to live in these states anymore if they can afford to leave, and they are in droves. What they're doing is they're moving people into these states who are illegal aliens. Why are they doing this? Because those illegals are now being counted for the purposes of congressional districts and electoral votes. This is a backfill for power. And we had it 10 days ago. A representative from New York, from Brooklyn, a congresswoman from Brooklyn, her name is Clark, on record, saying that she needs these illegal aliens to move into her district for the purposes of redistricting. She does not want to lose her district. The only way to avoid that is to bring these people in illegally and put them there. People that are on the public charge, people that all taxpayers are going to have to support, but people that will keep her in power. We've got to stop it. That's why I'm introducing legislation now that basically clarifies this. Only citizens should be counted for the purposes of electoral votes and for congressional districts.
Well, Senator, this has been a long time coming and a long time debate as well, of course, a citizenship question on the census. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is something that Donald Trump wanted to do way back when, and perhaps if he becomes president again, he'll support you in that endeavor. Do you think you're going to get any, number one, how much pushback do you think you're going to get for wanting to put that citizenship question on a census? That's number one. Number two, does it have any chance of passing with the makeup of the Senate right now? And clearly that would, at the very least, prevent illegal folks from voting.
Well, it's certain that today Joe Biden would veto the legislation.
Yeah.
But I don't think Joe Biden will be president after November. I want to get this into the chute. I want to get this discussed. And I want the American people to understand what is going on. Because I think few people understand, Dan, what you and I are talking about right now. Most people would just assume that only citizens are counted for the purposes of allocating electoral votes in legislative districts.
Yep.
That is not the case. And when President Trump tried to put that onto the census, the left went nuts. They tied it up in court. couldn't get it done. We're going to put it into legislation. That way the court has no choice. This isn't something to determine in a courtroom. This is going to be a matter of law. I do expect Joe Biden would veto it, but I certainly don't think that Donald Trump will.
Well, and the thing is, right before I go to traffic, Senator Bill Hagerty joining us, but the thing is, when I hear legislation like this from the likes of you, a very conservative Republican, then I hope that what it does is it inspires people to go to the polls and vote because this is the kind of legislation that we need to protect the southern border and America's sovereignty. And quite frankly, I will take it a step further. It's our way of life. Look at what's happening in a lot of these cities across America. And yes, every state right now is a border state. Senator Bill Hagerty joining us on Nashville's Morning News. Headline, Senator, from just staying with illegal immigration very quickly. This is from the Daily Caller. Senate Republicans sound off on leaked border deal proposals, say they will absolutely not vote for them. And I don't know if you've seen this story or not. Josh Hawley, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, all speaking with the Daily Caller about what they have heard about the ongoing negotiations and reacted to leaked proposals obtained by the Caller. And one of them, and this is just going to tell you where this is going, Senator, legally establish 5,000 illegal aliens entering the country per day as the new norm, requiring the crisis hit that number before the president could invoke Title 42-esque authority, effectively forcing Americans to, at a minimum, accept 1.8 million illegal aliens a year. They talk about amnesty for dreamers and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I guess, have you seen the leaked proposals and have you heard anything about these?
So what you're seeing in the Daily Caller is just piecemeal comments on what is being discussed. None of us have seen text. I want to be clear. None of the senators that you mentioned have actually seen the actual text because it has been presented to us. What we've heard are the ebbs and flows of a negotiation. But I think what I haven't heard is something that makes me confident that we have an airtight solution here. And if we don't have an airtight solution, there's no way this is going to pass because the Biden administration will find any loophole in legislation to use that to shove as many people as they want into this country illegally. Again, back to the original premise. This is about obtaining power for them. This is about them obtaining control of the Electoral College and congressional districts. This is not about anything with a humanitarian component to it. They're all about getting power. So they're going to use any loophole that they can possibly find. This is going to be very complex, and I don't think anybody trusts this administration. If you look at their behavior, just 10 days ago, the Biden administration was at the Supreme Court asking for permission to cut the razor wire that Governor Abbott put up to try to protect his state. They don't have any intention of stepping up and doing something about illegal immigration. If you think about it, President Trump had all the tools in place. Biden came in and immediately began to disassemble everything that President Trump had done to basically shut down illegal immigration coming to this country. President Trump had it down to a trickle and had more work to do. The border wall was in the process of being finished. Biden came in and sold off all of the material. They told them to stop working, and they put up an auction to sell off the material to get the border wall, the material necessary to finish the border wall, to get that out of the area. It's just unbelievable that these guys, now step up and are saying, well, we're trying to fix it, and the Republicans are somehow standing in the way.
All right.
No, the Republicans are trying to make sure it's rock solid.
It's absolutely, they're gaslighting the American people, and it is absolutely infuriating. Senator Bill Hagerty joining us. One last question here. Another continuing resolution has been passed. The government's going to stay open, of course, until, I guess, through March 1st. I think obviously Tennesseans and Americans who pay attention are tired of these continuing resolutions over and over again. It doesn't look like any money is actually going to be cut from the budget, $1.6 trillion. What's your thought on all this?
I think this is just the fact that we have Chuck Schumer in control of the United States Senate. And Schumer likes to manage from crisis to crisis to crisis. And so he's just kicked the can down the road. He's going to precipitate another crisis at the end of February, basically saying if we don't do, and just fill in the blank of how many bad things for America that he wants to accomplish, then we're going to see a government shutdown. We should be right now processing appropriations bills. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. We should be working through this, trying to find ways to cut, trying to find ways to make more efficiency in the government. Schumer doesn't want to do any of that. He's not allowed us to put a single appropriations bill on the floor since November. We have finished all of the subcommittee work in the appropriations world in July of last year, and Schumer has done nothing. I mean, we've been half a year waiting for him to put these bills on the floor, and it's just absolute malpractice. He is creating yet another crisis, and we're going to be looking at one in the beginning of March.